The future of ocean freight in India, finding opportunity in adversity. As the global shipping industry faces rapid transformation due to technological advances, geopolitical shifts, and sustainability pressures, India has a unique opportunity to turn adversity into growth within the ocean freight sector. This panel will examine both the challenges and opportunities in ocean freight. First, I would like to invite on stage our moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. Shantanu Bhadkamkar, Managing Director, ATC Global Logistics. A visionary leader in the logistics industry, he has been at the forefront of driving innovation and operational excellence in global supply chain solutions. With decades of experience and a deep commitment to industry growth, he continues to shape the future of logistics in India and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Mr. Shantanu. Come on, guys, we've had lunch, coffee, big round of applause. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite on stage Captain Pankaj Mehrotra, CEO, Shipping Agency, Samsara Group. With an impressive 30-year voyage in the industry, he has been instrumental in the overall development of agency business and expansion of the group into various shipping and logistics vertical. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Captain Pankaj Mehrotra. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Hakan Cevik, Managing Partner, AKKON Lines. He helped establish AKKON Lines in September 2018. Previously, he has Division Director with Container Ship Maritime Transport and Trade SA. He holds almost 3 decades of experience in the shipping industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it from Mr. Hakan, please. Next, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Charmaine Remedios. Wow, it's amazing to see a lady coming on for a panel discussion. Big round of applause for her, please. She's Senior Vice President, Head Procurement and Contracts, Petrochemicals, Consumer Retail and Chartering, Reliance Industries. A dynamic leader with vast expertise in procurement strategy and supply chain management. She plays a pivotal role in driving efficiency and innovation across diverse business verticals at one of India's largest conglomerates, Reliance Industries. Let's hear it for her, please. Next, I would like to call on stage Mr. Savir Julka, Global Head, IG and Logistics, Director, IEBV, INOXCVA. With a career spanning 30 years, he holds expertise in core engineering industry, focused on industrial sales and marketing, business development, media and communication, logistics, and specialized in high-value techno-commercial interests. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to Mr. Savir Julka. Next, I would like to call on stage Mr. Anand Iyer, Head Corporate, EXIM and Commercial, Thermax. The powerhouse of customs and logistics expertise at the renowned engineering conglomerate Thermax Limited. With over 22 years of dynamic leadership, he's the driving force behind customs, trade compliance, and logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Mr. Anand Iyer. Sir, Mr. Shantanu, over to you. Have a wonderful panel discussion.
Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar. Right. I am happy you are awake, and we promise you that this will be a scintillating session. You will not hear anything you heard on AI or Wikipedia or the magazines or WhatsApp. So maybe you can keep your mobile aside and listen. And my panelists have promised that they will be light-hearted, there will be some jokes, and all of them will be pulling my leg and making fun of me. At my cost, they will make you laugh. This is the panel. See, there is one issue which is talked about a lot, is the current geopolitics. We in India, we have so many civil commotions, lot of things happening in every state and every district. We are undergoing lot of transformation, changes, be it farmer, be it reservation, many things are happening. Governments are changing, governments are getting re-elected. The election campaigns are vibrant. But when we look around our neighboring countries, you feel you are doing really well. You then go beyond that. The chaos that's happening everywhere, I don't have to say, I can say that also. Then you feel you are in a paradise. And we are actually in a paradise today. Though we are in a mess, others are in a bigger mess. So that's why the theme, finding opportunities in adversity. And today's India, today's Indian entrepreneurs in particular have developed the risk appetite of fishing in troubled waters. We also have the risk appetite to expand our horizons, not little bit scalably, but go in the next orbit. And that's what we are going to speak, and our foreign guest is also going to take a India look as he looks from outside India. What opportunities he finds in India. And I can promise you, we will have just 2 rounds of 3 minutes each, and then we will give all of you to talk or ask questions. So as we speak just now, start preparing your questions. If you want, you can send your slips or you can pick up a mic and talk. But don't have a speech. So be ready for small questions. So we start with just person sitting next to me, Pankaj. These challenges have created opportunities for logistics companies. In fact, in COVID, we did better than ever time before. Some of us did much better, but everyone did better at the end of the day during that period. But now with Red Sea, with other congestions in ports and so many other things that are happening, can you speak about challenges for half a minute and then build on how you are creating opportunities out of it? And maybe in second round, we will come for other scenarios. So the floor is yours, and I will start the timer of 3 minutes for you and all of you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Shantanu ji. And thank you, ISCS, for this wonderful opportunity. It's an amazing show with bringing in, and it's growing bigger and bigger. So it's very encouraging to see that the logistics fraternity is coming together. All segments of cargo are coming together. Sir, regarding this subject, I think it's a very sensitive subject, and at least as far as we are concerned, I would say, I think in this panel, I have the most sensitive position because I have got one principal with me, who's our principal, but then there are host of customers. So for them, actually, our opportunity may be adverse, So it may, it puts us in a puts me in a very tight spot. That if I speak either ways, it's like a knife's edge, which I am sitting on. I don't know how many of you had heard about something called Houthi. I think all of us must have gone through the Google when we heard there's someone called Houthi and he has started creating this opportunity. So I think most of us must have gone through that because that's what created all the sort of a disruption. It's an opportunity, I would say, or it's more of circumstantial. As if you look at the ship owner's perspective, ships had to take a detour, almost 15 days extra detour, the associated charter hire costs, the associated blocking of the containers, the disruption in all the schedules, then, of course, the delays to our customers also, which was happening because their shipments were getting delayed. So I won't say it's really an opportunity, but it is a situation which really affects the entire supply chain. And it, of course, is very, very challenging to navigate through that. I think all of us have been through that. And like Mr. Hakan is here, and we have got some principals who take the risk of taking the ship through that sensitive area where you are risking your ship, you are risking your crew, you are risking the cargo on board, and then it has got its own associated costs and all. So as far as the freight rate going up, I won't say it was really an opportunity, but it is a circumstance which we had to live through, maintaining our customers' cargo, the scheduling and everything, and it really impacted of course, the planning and everything for each and everyone who is involved in the supply chain. I will just take a little detour. It's more or less related to this subject only. But if we are talking of the freight going up, we are also, as far as I think most of us must be experiencing pre-COVID and post-COVID, there has been a significant amount of change in the way the freights have moved. And there have been quite a few spikes also. But same time, if we look at the passenger traffic, okay, I'm just taking a detour. There's a passenger traffic. The airfares which were there pre-COVID and what exists post-COVID are almost 100% higher if you look at the international passenger traffic. And the traffic is growing. So 60 million passengers were being, traveling in and out of India before COVID. I'm talking of 2018 and 19 period. And post-COVID has been almost 10% increase. And I think this year we're going to have 66 million traffic. So the freight market and the fare market both have been jumping like, so it creates impact. And there's nobody to raise to nobody. And there's no forum like this to discuss about the airfares, And we are all experiencing it day-to-day lives. Everybody pays the highest fare which is there today prevailing and we are traveling. So
that's a good analogy, Pankaj, because not only airfares have increased, hotel fares have increased.
Everything has increased.
And yet the flights are full, hotels are full, hotels are even more full. Even in Pune, I couldn't find a hotel. I have a home, but I wanted to stay close to the venue to travel the traffic jam in Pune. Anybody knows Pune?
Yes.
Anand will know it better. In fact, I have a house in Aun, but if I stay near the venue actually, just to avoid that time. But let's move on.
Sure.
See, the shipper and forwarder Hakan have a wonderful relationship in India. On personal forum, we are so friendly. We take good drinks together. We cheers. We have leaders like Mukesh Bhai who bond us together. But when it come on public forum, we fight like nobody else.
Okay.
So the floor is yours. You are a foreigner, so we are keeping things comfortable for you. But you can take liberties on us. And you can take liberties on the shippers also. Go ahead, Hakan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Really, thank you very much. And I'm really feeling very happy, very comfortable. Although I am my agent there, our Indian agent, and also between forwarders and also our suppliers. And for me, it's a great opportunity to come here again. I was also in one of these panels last year. So I'm feeling in a better and comfortable this year. So I can take it this burden, no problem. Following what Captain Pankaj told about Red Sea, it seems an opportunity for some shipping lines. But for me, from my perspective, although we are a medium-sized carrier operating 26 vessels, the Red Sea had shown a red flag to shipping lines. That is a fact. It is followed by Houthis. You are right. Nobody was really aware of who are the Houthis, what they are doing. But it seems they have done a lot to world economy. So they had a kind of positive effect, what we are living now. But in turn, and I think it's very natural, that the big lines, they have found it better and safer to navigate through Cape of Good Hope, which is actually the safest way and without any risk, despite of their extra bunker consumption and also longer transit time, which are now rightfully compensated by the sea freight levels being introduced in the market. So in my humble opinion, it's a really new area that even the economy itself, we have been always taking steps further. That we cannot go back the previous stage. So, in my humble opinion, and also looking at the economic growth at the moment, this is a kind of distinction between the prime and the secondary markets, in my opinion. And from Indian side, what I have seen, that 2 years ago, we had two gentlemen coming from India, and they were inviting us India because we had our compact servers making only China and into Met. But Mr. Oza also is just sitting in front of us. He put me a kind of calculation on my table, and he was saying that, okay, Captain, I know AKKON has been establishing different lines, which we had at that time 9 lines, 9 corridors. He was proposing 1,000 TEU vessels, and after short while, the India who was inviting us, we feel that we were pushed by India. We put 2 vessels of 2,000 TEUs, which makes our agent very much surprised. So for us, India, now we have a dedicated India and China service separately. And we have some doubts, but still the business to and from India, I think, is carrying us onto a prime league that we continue. And hope next year I'll be again, and I'll talk more about India. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hakan. See, what you explained is like handful of people strategically placed can change the trade dynamics. Like Houthis, talking of Houthis, they are not too many, they are not too powerful, but strategically located. But coming to you, Charmaine, you have always been in privileged position, most sought after person. A client everyone would want to have, be it forwarder, custom broker, shipping line, trucking company. So after being the most sought after person and organization, how do you look at things and what do you see way ahead? So floor is yours.
Thank you, Shantanu. Firstly, good afternoon all, and a big shout out to IICS for giving us this opportunity to connect on the dais and talk about issues pertinent to freight transportation on the globe. So to start with, I'm just going to mention a few of the challenges that as an importer or an exporter we face whilst moving, whether it is the domestic market or internationally, right? So the most common supply chain challenges, if you cut back to 2022, 2023, was more port congestion, lack of labor mobility, manufacturing delays, and extreme weather conditions. In the recent past, there's been quite a few challenges which supersede all the challenges we faced in the last decade or two, right? So whether it is the Russia-Ukraine conflict, whether it is the West Asia conflict, much has been talked about, the Houthi, the Red Sea issues, etc., etc. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, personally, I believe that maneuvering supply chain management, during the pandemic time was almost a cakewalk as compared to all the challenges as an exporter or an importer we face today. Shantanu, in the interest of OTD and the 3 minutes, which is on-time delivery, I have listed out a few challenges which as an exporter and importer we face today. So the first one I'd like to talk about is inflation. Today, inflation seems looming large, not only this year, but even beyond. While we talk about inflation in the United States of America, there are a few countries around the globe which are facing the highest inflation in decades, with everything from labor to raw materials costing more to increasing manufacturing cost. Suppliers, businesses, and consumers are now facing the pinch. So what happens when there's inflation? It gets extremely difficult for us to predict consumer demands, right? And that's the second SCM risk that I'd like to highlight. Sustaining supply chains at a time like this, amid dynamic global demands, becomes the biggest challenge for us. We find customers reprioritizing spending patterns due to overall economic slowdown. And added to this, the delivery delays builds up surplus inventory. This impacts two critical aspects of demand forecasting, which we have faced, and obviously our service providers see from us as well, which is predicting sales velocity and, of course, the lead times. Now, other than this, one of the points that as an exporter importer I'd like to touch on is the increasing freight prices, or rather lack of sustainable freight. Now, we don't mind paying the additional freight, right? But the entire fabric of the global supply chain has to take it. We've seen during the pandemic times, the freights had risen almost, historical limits, but businesses was moving and it was relatively easy. But today, with higher fuel, labor cost, the Red Sea conflict preventing normal transportation routes through the Suez Canal, the freight distances are growing, and as a result, costs are rising. But having said that, one positive message I'd like to make a mention of, an anecdote which we as Reliance faced and combated during the pandemic. It was, in the true sense of the word, a collaboration between us and our agile partners. So, cutting back to 2020, mid of 2020, in the thick of the pandemic, there was an issue in terms of transportation across the entire globe. So 85% of what Reliance manufactures in the petrochemical segment actually has a domestic demand. And it's the 15 to 20% which we export out. Now, with the situation where not only our country, but the entire world was in a shutdown or a lockdown situation, there was this challenge thrown to us as to, should we shut shop or is there something we can do? And I'm extremely pleased to make a mention of the fact that most of our service providers, be it the port operations, the terminals, the shipping lines, the maintenance and repair facilities inside the terminals, all gathered around. And we actually induced a vessel to one of the ports close to our Jamnagar plant. There was an issue so far as availability of empty equipment. So the ship came with empty boxes, close to around 3,000 empty containers. The containers were offloaded from the vessel. The vessel went to outer anchorage. The boxes moved by rail. Imagine doing M&R, maintenance and repair, inside the terminal. All of these boxes moved on the railway to our railway siding at Jamnagar. And within, I believe it was 10 odd days, we stuffed close to around 2,700, close to 3,000 containers. The vessel came back to anchorage, loaded our boxes, and set sail. This was an opportunity that all of the entire supply chain fabric kind of geared and got together. It would not have happened if everybody who was in that sphere did not work together. So there is an
That's
opportunity.
a great story, Charmaine. And when you said that you had challenges, I know Reliance can deal with challenges. And when you said you have problem with demand forecasting, you have just said that you can create demand.
Yes.
So that's a great story. But Pankaj has something to add to it.
No, I just wanted to highlight Charmaine is an extremely hard negotiator as far as Reliance is concerned.
Pankaj, you're going to hear from me later.
But I'll come to that. I'll come to that. But same time, we all need Reliance. Okay. And she also in some way contributes to such centers being created, So and she negotiates hard that then geo centers are created.
Yes, that's true. So, Savir, you are going to talk about new technology. I don't know what is green and blue in hydrogen. So maybe people will come to know sometimes it is blue, sometimes it is green, sometimes again there are other connotations, ammonia being. So can you speak about what new opportunities will come in this area, or you would like to speak about something else?
Let me first crack a joke. You told me to crack jokes, right? So this is on the border posting. A Sepoy comes to the major and says, "Saab छुट्टी चाहिए." For whatever reasons, बच्चा हो रहा है, बीबी मिस कर रहा है, जो भी कर रहा है, नहीं जा सकता. It is a active time. You can't get छुट्टी. This happens 3-4 times and the major gets frustrated and says, okay, get me a Pakistani tank and you get a chutti. By evening, he brought a Pakistani tank and he got a chutti. After 3-4 such chuttis, he asked him, how do you manage it? Sir, very simple. I take my tank to the border and say, anybody wants chutti? So, this is the scenario we faced 10-15 years ago when the freight forwarders used to come, give a crazy rate, take the cargo and then go to the market and says, anybody wants the cargo? Fast forward to now, we are happy to say that we are one of the leading manufacturers of high-tech cryogenic equipment for industrial gases, medical gases, hydrogen, helium, LNG, globally supplying to nearly 100 countries and competing with the best brands in Europe and US. If anybody has heard about the ITER project in France, where several countries have come together to spend billions of dollars to create what is called the sun on earth, the fusion energy for the future of power. So the argument is if you spend 50 megawatts, you can create 500 megawatts by fusion of hydrogen atoms under very high magnetic fields controlled by superconducting magnets, which gets so hot that they need to be cooled with nothing less than helium. Helium, for those who are not aware, is minus 269 degrees centigrade, 4 degrees Kelvin. So when the helium has to be brought to cool the magnets, they have to come from the helium producing plant about 4 kilometers away. And you'll be happy to know that the Indian company making the high-tech super insulated pipelines to bring helium from there to the reactor is Indian. It's INOXCVA. We did it. And the second prestigious company which is involved in that project, which is doing the reactor for the fusion, is none other than L&T. So, working in adversity, working with technology, and being the master of your game is what it takes to survive. When the pandemic was capsizing all the markets here, we were working on the first liquid hydrogen tank to be installed in South Korea. South Korea is so technically advanced that they didn't have their own capability to make a hydrogen tank. While we've been working on this since 1999, we have been doing hydrogen since then, is why the question. So 240,000 liters. 240,000 liters is the size of the tank that we shipped in 2022, which was built during the COVID time. First of its kind in Korea, first of its kind from India to go there, first of its kind to be approved. So the nomenclature and the safety procedures in South Korea were being written when the tank was being built in our facility in India, in Kandla. So my case in point is, be good at your game, be good at what you do, and create some USP where your business remains yours. Sadly, during COVID, when the markets were down, things were on a standstill, INOX Group was in the front end. We didn't have lockdown. None of us were at home because our sister company, INOXCVA Products, was busy producing oxygen over time to give to the hospitals. And we were busy producing tanks and cylinders, liquid cylinders, so that oxygen could go around the country as and where it was required, because there was a gap between production and demand. Where it was being produced was not where it was needed. And where it was needed, we didn't have the logistics or the supply chain system. So that's when the government sat up and realized that oxygen, which is so essential to all of us, has been most ignored and unknown aspect of our lives. And that's when now Piyush knows us, Piyush Goyal sir knows us, and PM sir knows us, and there are regular meetings to actually keep a check of how much oxygen is being produced in the country. So that should any such calamity or epidemic come in, the government is better prepared. To come to your point, sir,
I think we can have it in the next round. We will have next round. So, Anand, can you take the EPC issue and take it forward?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And thanks Ayushi and Mohit for setting up this excellent event on that front, which is
Maybe you
such a
hold
grand
it
scale.
closer.
Yeah. In such a grand scale. Okay, so I represent a company which is generally called as a trusted partner in energy transition. So that itself calls itself for something which we can relate it in terms of what Suvirji had said, that it's more of a green, it's more of an energy efficiency kind of thing. Similarly, in terms of the size, the volume, and other stuff, when Reliance is being looked up for, so it's something like that. The kind of cargo that we manufacture is of an excellent big sizes and which needs to be moved from one place to the other in a very different level. To the point what the ship owner from Econ side had said, the challenges that are there. So that becomes a part and parcel of our lives which we have to get through. And on the Pankaj side, Pankaj ji, we had been a party to many of the discussions in the forums like this, and it's always been a cost which comes to that point of discussion on that front. So it's a very interesting point to say. Why I'm saying this is because what is certain is uncertain, and what is uncertain is certain is something which couple of people would have heard me saying time and again on this. And once we have this certainty of uncertainty and uncertainty of certainty acknowledged at our end and receptive of that, what is going to change, what is going to make a difference to us, probably helps us out to navigate in a right way. The challenges that we face as an organization or as a primary exporter out of India is the size of the material and the way it needs to be moved. So those were the days, as Suvirji has highlighted it, that the cargo was ready and it used to go in the market and people used to struggle around saying this cargo is available, is anybody around to take it? Now the things have changed. Now the integration with respect to the logistics has become a primary driver for any of the organization to start looking up for. So in this, I would say anything that gets manufactured at any point of time has a discussion point wherein it says what's the size of the cargo, what's the mode of transport of this cargo, and where it needs to be moved at what time. So all of this coming into the fore becomes a point of discussion with engineering when the designing of it takes place. And in this, the partnership with respect to every other individual that comes across becomes a key role to play. I would say this because when it comes to a logistics or a freight forwarding part, we generally interact with many of the service providers with whom we take quote right at the initial stage. And just to highlight this, any of the products generally that we supply has a lead time of say 3 to 6 months. And for the big projects, the materials gets into years together for getting supplied on that front. So we need a sustainable pricing that comes across when it comes to a big project. How do you handle it is something that we also struggle many a time. But fortunately, unfortunately, people are there to support us when it comes to big project, when it comes to prestigious project, and good partners are available within our fraternity in order to support us and come up. We have a couple of partners available with us who works with us very closely in a lot of front, and they support us on that exigency. Uh, from the point of the cost, which primarily plays a key role in our logistics. So for big projects, yes, L1 becomes the category because it's just not that you bid for something and you get it, or you just go and give a pricing and you get it. It's the bidding process which takes place and years together it happens. So on that front, L1 becomes the key, and under that L1, logistics cost again becomes an L1 on that front. That's the reason many a time the discussion comes across. But now things are changing. People are taking cognizance of whatever the uncertainties that are happening, and the sales team take the logistics input at the right time in order to navigate through the documentation, the pricing, the budgeting. All of it happens in a right way, because that is how we navigate it in the EPC sector, and that becomes very crucial. There are a couple of more points probably in the next.
We will
can
take
discuss
in
on
the
it. Thank you
next
so
round.
much. Sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Anand. And on the issues you spoke, maybe there is one more aspect that Pankaj will like to talk about, one very critical stakeholder, and that becomes a bottleneck, which is the port. And Pankaj wants to enlighten us about what's the port scenario all over the world and what are their plans as a carrier or a carrier agent, how to deal with it, and some solutions for you probably.
As far as geopolitical situation is concerned, I don't think any one of us as a logistics industry contributory can do anything. We cannot control the Russia-Ukraine war. We cannot control the Israel-Hamas. We cannot control the Houthis. But the situation which is created in the congestions in various ports, starting with, say, Shanghai or Port Kelang or Colombo or Jebel Ali, and sometimes in many of the Indian ports, Mundra and Nhava Sheva, that puts a little bit of a burden on the entire supply chain. And that is where, as a logistics industry, we should try to find some solution, because those sort of delays put a tremendous pressure on the delivery of the cargoes, and then it adds the costs, because again the ships are stranded, the schedule is totally haywire in all the ports, you miss your windows, and this creates a lot of a burden on the entire industry. So this aspect, I would say, is a little controllable, where we need to have much more efficiency in the different ports, and that will help us resolve a lot of this situation which is in our control. What is not in our control, we really cannot do anything about it. But what is in our control is to bring in more efficiency in port operations, in the way the supply chain and the logistics, even the evacuation from the ports. We had situations even in Mundra and some other ports where the evacuation itself was an issue. The export gates were unable to be opened. So all those things, I would say, are more controllable factors where the supply chain must get involved and we must find some solution to it.
I think, Hakan, you can add to what he's saying.
Yes, I can add a few remarks from shipping side or ship owner side. That you're right. As many as the new vessels are injected to the markets, but the ports are limited, and to accommodate these vessels are not so easy, and it's not going on in parallel. That is why, for us to stop the service, or at least to create or to face with a small delay, it really causes big, with a domino effect to other parties. So port congestion, yes, it is really a problem. Okay, the shipping side, like Red Sea, in the first run I was trying to explain. Yes, the shipping lines, they found a way to use another route, but against the port congestion, they cannot do anything. So it really needs a kind of bigger scale infrastructure investments to continue this sustainability. Otherwise, I mean, it will create more sea freight. That Madam Chairman will not like it. It will create more equipment, shortage of equipment. So the domino goes really to a negative side. So then the opportunity will not work. Then it will come to the infrastructure issues to be solved, to be tackled. But in India also we are feeling gradually, as the market volume is really increasing. So we are feeling such delays. I shouldn't say congestion. Let's be positive. But there are delays that are affecting our transit time, the lead time, and it will also create a kind of, let's say, inflation at the end of the day. So for the sustainability, this should be our, I think, economic principle. I mean, instead of freight rates or whatever it is, I think the shipping side, we really deserve such freights that is making us alive in the markets. I mean, without shipping sector or shipping industry, I think you cannot feel good. That's my opinion, humble opinion. Okay, thank you.
See, what you are saying is a big topic of debate in government, particularly in our commerce ministry, DG shipping, high freight rates. But somehow in India, we don't have our own container shipping capacity. So that becomes a big challenge for all the three people sitting here and for us equally. Probably with Air India now becoming stronger for air cargo, and something is being talked about for ocean, but it may take another 10 years to have something. But Charmaine, Reliance always had a different way to look at things and find solutions because you are known to execute projects before time and always, as you gave one example, do you want to add to another example or what would you like to say?
I can't let out all trade secrets now, can I, Shantanu?
And just one guidance to all of you. This clock is not correct. It has stopped for a while. We have another 15 minutes only, but part of it will be for audience. So maybe have a quick round.
Very quick. So what I'm going to talk about is, so how do we as a manufacturer or as an EXIM importer or an exporter, what do we do to ensure that we are, plotting the course or maintaining our markets, whether it's domestic or international? A couple of points only is what I will mention here. The first one is that our sourcing strategy has now become extremely diversified. What used to be a pretty stable outlook, whether it is a quarterly or an annual kind of sourcing strategy, has now taken on a more, monthly, quarterly, sometimes even on a spot basis, depending on the situation and the country that we want to export to. So we've moved to a hybrid contracting strategy. Also, finding new shipping ports or routes, because there's a slowdown in Europe. There are certain challenges so far as tariffs on some commodities are concerned. So ensuring that we find the right financial instrument to allow for the entire end-to-end, partnering with NVOCCs, for example, is one thing that comes to mind so far as the Red Sea is concerned. That is something we look at. One of the other points I'd like to make a mention of is that supply chain for us is an end-to-end. So if there is an opportunity, whether it is at the origin side or the destination, wherein we see some kind of efficiencies in operations or cost savings or both, that is something we definitely look at. So, moving empty containers from North Indian ICDs to our plant at Jamnagar ensures that we have a steady supply of equipment, as well as reducing our reliance on the road transportation. And the team came with a list of, wish list sort of a thing. But I believe we should be using the digitization platform also in terms of documentation, the ULIP, which is the latest for logistics, wherein we have the entire integrated logistics on one platform, which has been conceptualized by Niti Aayog. One has to use the digitization platform in order to save cost, reduce manual errors, and ensure that the entire end-to-end supply chain is on one platform. These are the few points I thought I could quickly mention.
That was great and quick. Just don't follow this timing. This is 10 minutes ahead. So we have only 13 minutes with maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes for it. So Savir, you couldn't complete CPC and project. So in couple of minutes, will you like to share something?
Yeah, in a couple of minutes, I can just say that keeping with the European norms of low emission, there is a rule that you have to use non-emitting fuel. So several years ago, we came up with the LNG marine fuel systems, which could be installed on the vessels so that when the vessels entered the coastal areas, they could switch to environmental friendly fuel and then go back in deep sea and switch back to diesel because the bunkering system was not available. Going further, we could collaborate with the infra developers and help them install huge tanks, almost 8 lakh liters of three numbers on vessels. So they could be a floating bunkering vessel, providing LNG sources. Then we went further and went into Scotland to be making the first receiving terminal for LNG. And then it could be transported by a virtual pipeline, that is by trailers to wherever the use were. So helping in the infra for using LNG as a fuel, both for land, rail, and sea, is where we could come in. And now the same spectrum is moving on towards hydrogen, where as we speak, we are developing and getting the approvals for liquid hydrogen marine fuel tanks and liquid hydrogen automobile fuel tanks for mobility. So soon we should see that story coming up also. So to answer your question, we are colorblind for hydrogen because we store liquid hydrogen. We don't care where it comes from.
So Anand, I always like to have some PhD on the panel. And I have been in panel where we had multiple PhDs, so people also addressed me as a doctor. So we have one doctor there. As much as you try to study what is existing, the research people come out with new way of looking at things. So can you share a couple of new way of looking things?
See, I would quickly wrap up in this way, saying that I have heard the morning session, for the inaugural session on that front, and couple of notes that I have taken to take it in a very positive
So
way.
Anand, you can wrap up for all of us, including me. You can wrap up.
No, no, I'll just put it in this way.
I'm just suggesting you. You can wrap up for me also.
Okay, I'll just try to do justice to it, sir. See, couple of things that I said and that I have heard in the morning session, okay, which was absolutely pleasure to hear. And what is it that we are looking at it? The kind of infra push that we are getting it from the government and what is happening in India as we move ahead is something which makes us very thoughtful about what is the opportunity that lies ahead. Somebody said that things are shaping up good for us in these adversities too. There is some terminology which was used. I am just missing it out. But two things that I felt very good when JNPA Chairman Unmesh Wagji had said that the new terminal which is coming up is an absolute 21 million TUs terminal which is coming up and which should be up and running probably in the next 5 to 6 years time. And 28, 29 is what they are looking at it in terms of having the first vessel getting berthed over that. And that too, the mother vessels, whatever that are there, which are not in a position to berth today, are in a position to berth that. The 18-meter draft that he talked about for that channel, the largest, the Bridgewater, whatever you call it as, in order to build it, which is of 10.3 kilometers tall, is an absolute great things that are happening across. And the connectivity that is bridging in terms of the infra that is happening from the government's push is making a big difference. And the two-number digit in terms of a cost which we all have to pass through is being envisaged to be coming down to a one-digit number, probably 8, 9, 7, whatever would that number be. But that is going to be a big opportunity for us. Two things that we need to look up for is India is not only an importer on record right now. Probably India is shaping up for global way. Lot of big manufacturers from India are shaping up in a big way, and project business also is shaping up in a good way. In that, I would say the opportunities for all the big people, whoever are there in this forum, big or small, have an opportunity to do good. Logistics has been a key area. There had been an ask in the earlier session which says that logistics should be termed as one of the industry where we all gets recognized on that front. I too endorse on that way because that will only shape up in bringing new things for the people like us who are struggling every now and then to make it happen. Two more points that I would like to take from Mukesh Ojaji, since he is sitting in front of me, that I really liked on that front. India is acting as a bridge between East and West. This is a take that I am taking it from his words, whatever that he had said. And one more point he said, which resonates what Charmaine has very categorically mentioned. And these are the words from Ojai Saab. And this, I would say, is digitally connected smart logistics solution for cost optimization, transparency, and customer success. So this is something which is going to drive anything and everything in a big way as we look up for. And for us in this adversity, these are the opportunities that are shaping up. And thanks to all of them for being such a great co-panelist in order to bring up all the points that are there on it, from cost, from operations, from the price strategy, how Reliance manages the kind of risk with an opportunity coming up on that front by bringing in 3,000 containers, making the ship wait for some time and taking it back as an opportunity on the export side. So those kind of things which we need to look at, and that's what I can say. Thank you so much for all of it. Thanks.
Thanks for wrapping up also. Two questions we can have. We are well within time, so two questions, quick questions. If not, nobody has ever complained for ending session before time. But if you have to have question, you have time for two questions. Fine. I think we don't have any questions. I think your explanations were so complete that we don't have any questions. So you can take the floor. Compare. So we are early. If we are early, I have a lot of questions and some of them have something to say. to ask you a question, Mukesh bhai, but it's good you are asking and you can make your point also.
What will be the status of shipping companies if all the wars were to end within next 30 days?
Hakan is looking at you.
Mr. Rosa, you are asking to me,
Ship owners.
ship owners. And your
Then
question,
how will the shippers be feeling about it?
well, what I've got from Madam Charmaine, I mean, she has been suffering from so many issues that as Oasis and AKKON, we can easily solve. But I wonder if our destinations would really cover her demands. That's our network in Mediterranean, in Black Sea, or even a little bit of North Europe we can try to solve her problems. But after listening, Captain, I believe we should be asking a bit more than the market. So he should be really flexible to our rates. I shouldn't say accept all of it, but
Sizes.
I think we will insist on the majority
I
of our revenue.
I think she'll have many more options opened up if this happens, So that can be one of the aspects which may bring about a lot of change. All the big shipping lines will again start following the Red Sea route, and things can drastically change. What's your
Mukesh
point?
bhai, we see at both sides. So what we observe today, shippers are complaining, importers are complaining even more, but somehow both of them have somehow been able to adjust. And because the rest, if we are in mess, rest of the world is in a bigger mess. So probably they are able to still do much better. So not complaining so loudly. They are complaining, but still, I think we can see their volumes are growing. With this, I think a big round of applause for Mukesh bhai and his panelists. And we can conclude exactly on dot.
Right on time, sir. Such an insightful conversation, the depth of discussion on the creating opportunities in the ocean freight industry and the unprecedented growth has been truly enlightening. Thank you to our wonderful panelists and our moderator, Mr. Shantanu Bhadkamkar, for this engaging discussion.